Paging the TV doctor. Paging the TV doctor. So our second show to review is Hannibal. Hannibal is airing on NBC, a network station. This doesn't seem like Hannibal and NBC would go together, but there you have it. Uh, so Hannibal is starring Hugh Dancy as Special Agent Will Graham, Lawrence Fishburne as Agent Jack Crawford, Matt Mikkelsen as Dr. Hannibal Lecter, and our show is about Will Graham tracking down serial killers, but being disturbed at the fact that he can empathize with them. And Jack Crawford enlists his special skills to track down an elusive serial killer that only kills certain victims. And his MO is to pick college age girls who are between like 18 or 20 years old with brown hair, average height, etc., etc. And he only kills those victims. And we need to know why. So that's why we're getting Will Graham to help with this investigation. However, one of the murders throws him off because it shows sympathy. So we have to enlist the help of psychologist Dr. Hannibal Lecter. And that's where things get interesting. Now, of course, they're already interesting because the way we start off the episode is with this really intense, really moody reenactment of our first murder scene that we're accompanying Will Graham on, and we get to see him at work, and it is, I don't really know how to describe it, but we're going back in time. If you've seen it, you know, but just how we're going backwards and then going into his head to see how he sees from the killer's viewpoint was pretty amazing. And I hadn't seen anything like that on network television ever, really. Like you'd usually see that on the cable channels. So to see it on network television is pretty astounding. Like it shows that we are coming quite far, as to what we will accept on network television. It's pretty astounding. And that's just where the show really begins. Like it keeps that level of moodiness and evocative imagery and just a lot of quiet set pieces, which is cool. um the show in a lot of ways reminded me of Mad Men in the sense that it uses quiet and silence to help build character. Like we don't always get uh exposition when it comes to characterization. Like with Will, we see him waking up in a cold sweat, and we know it's because he's haunted. And we see him bringing home dogs because he hates socializing with people, or rather, he uh, has trouble socializing with people because I think he said uh, has Asperger's syndrome. So he has trouble or socializing with his peers. Uh, of course, with Hannibal, we see him eating and cooking stuff, really gross stuff. And of course, that builds character, and we know what he's like, and we know from his interactions with his patients that he's actually a very intelligent, very capable person, and is capable of sympathy, which is alarming in a serial killer, uh, because that just ruins, a lot of what we think of as serial killers. So there's just a lot of things that are amazing about this show. And, like I said, it's just amazing that it's on NBC, that's on network television, that anybody can watch this and that we don't have to have a subscription to something to watch it. Just to have this level of acting too, like the acting alone is something to tune in for. Mickelson playing Lecter, like that is like he is the best. Well, I won't say the best because Anthony Hopkins is the supreme Hannibal, but next to Anthony Hopkins, he brings all the intelligence and all the savvy and all the uh, culture that, like, all the cultural knowledge that Hannibal has, and makes it like he makes him into a really cool customer and someone that you almost wouldn't suspect as being a serial killer, but there's something off about him. And the way he uh, just infuses that character with charisma is fantastic. And of course, Hugh Dancy as Will is great. We can see that he is a tortured soul, that he's not like a lot of other detectives who, on other detective shows that seem like they are, if not okay with their gifts, they sometimes, some of them might seem a little uppity about their gifts in a way, but this guy is really depressed about his uh, unique gift. And that is something that I don't think we've seen on television a lot. I mean, we've seen characters deal with their problems, but not in this type of fashion to where they are just uh, beside themselves with fear and some kind of form of regret, things like that. And of course, Lawrence Fishburne being Lawrence Fishburne, he's always good. So he's just being himself. So overall, there's just a lot of good things about this show. A lot of good things about the script. Like, you can tell that the script is tight. Like, it's not like there's not any random shots or scenes in the show. Like, it's all meant to be there for a reason. It's just a good show. It is a good show, and I would suggest that people who love television, like really love the medium of television, to watch at least this first episode of Hannibal. Um, and I say that, I would say watch the whole season, but I'm saying the first episode because of something in the con section that we're gonna get to. So the reason I'm reserving, watching the full season is because if you're like me, then you think a lot. And when you think a lot and watch scary shows, it messes with your head. So if you're one of those people who can't watch certain shows, if you're sensitive to blood, to gore, to people getting shot, um, there's a lot of jugular vein slicing in this show. So in this episode at least. So if you are squeamish about that kind of thing, just blood in general, people eating people's organs, uh, seeing organs, etc., then you might not want to watch this show. You might also not want to watch Hannibal because, of course, it's dealing with serial killers. So if you are squeamish about serial killers, if you don't want to have nightmares about serial killers, um, if you just get nervous about that kind of stuff, um, if you avoid the news anyway because of talk about killing and things like that, then you definitely don't want to watch this show because it got a little bit into my head, and I don't need anything getting into my head right now. So if you are really sensitive to that kind of subject matter, then please do not watch Hannibal because you will be affected. Now, if you do not get affected by that kind of stuff, then go right ahead, do what you want. Watch however much of it you want to watch. But just know if you do get affected and you think, oh, I can handle it, you might not be able to handle it. I'm just saying that from personal experience. Secondly, NBC is kind of being a little bit weird with how they are handling Hannibal anyway. Like, they've been, of course, showing tons of commercials, but they have it on Thursdays at 10 p.m. Now, I don't know what comes on a Thursday at 10 p.m. that people watch, aside from the news in your area, in your neck of the woods, if they come on at 10. Um, so it's kind of, Entertainment Weekly called it a dead zone or something to that effect, and that really is what it is. It is a dead zone. I mean, sadly, Go On is on Thursdays, and even though it's in the comedy block, um, it is at the tail end of that comedy block. So it is a scary place to be if you're a new show. And I don't know why they even moved Go On. That's a good question to analyze. So the fact that they have Hannibal at 10 on Thursday is kind of icky. So I don't know if NBC doesn't have faith in it. I think they do because they created such great commercials and teasers to go along with it. So I think they do have faith in it. They might be trying to pull another Grimm because Grimm was on Friday. Generally, when something's on at Friday at a 10 o'clock at the 10 o'clock hour, it's not gonna stay on long. But Grimm beat the odds and is not just still on, but is pulling in good numbers. So perhaps that's what NBC is trying to do. They're trying to advance their scheduling to have must see television at all times of night on all days. And if that works, then that's great. Hopefully it does, because even though I might not be watching Hannibal each night, I hope that it would remain on the air because it is great writing, it is great acting, great visuals, very stylish, very intelligent, and it doesn't take its audience for granted, which is something NBC shouldn't take for granted either. So, final prognosis for Hannibal, with all of the pros and cons weighing on this decision, I am going to give Hannibal a very conservative, stable. And I say stable because even though, as I said, it's intelligent, it is insightful, etc., etc., it's also on at 10 o'clock on a Thursday. And I just don't know what's gonna happen with that. That's the wild card. If it was on any other time, I might say it is stable to vigorously healthy. But right now, it's just at stable. So we'll see, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. This first episode of the TV Doctor was partly inspired by the memory of Roger Ebert. Ebert was someone that I looked up to as a kid, and his passing has affected me greatly, especially, being someone that does follow entertainment and does critique it on a regular basis. Um, I am truly sad that his presence is gone from the world, and I am truly sad also that we won't get to hear any of his commentary on upcoming movies, on the world in general. You know, it's there's a void that will not ever be filled, no matter how many entertainment critics or TV doctors there are in the world. So rest in peace, Roger Ebert, and thanks to you, I am going to put my foot down and live like how you lived, which is to always do what I love doing, no matter what happens to me or my surroundings. So rest in peace, Roger Ebert, and hopefully we'll all take your life as our own inspiration.